What's up, YouTube? This is Reaper here. In today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about alliance leadership. Whether you are looking to start an alliance, you've inherited an alliance, and you're just looking to optimize the performance and communication and activity in your current alliance, then this video is for you. Before we dive into it, if you enjoy the content of this video, please consider liking and subscribing. And with that, we'll kind of get into it. So the first thing we want to talk about, obviously, when it comes to alliance leadership is a few things, right? There's a couple of questions that we want to ask ourselves. So when starting an alliance, I think the first question is, what type of alliance are you trying to be? Are you looking to be a raid alliance? Are you looking to be a war-focused alliance? Or are you looking to do both? I think why that's an important question is because how you approach that really determines what type of players and what type of commitment you're asking for from your alliance and your alliance mates. Remember, this is at the end of the day a mobile game, so the commitment that you're asking from has to make sure it balances with IRL type situations, and you have people that are coming in with a like-minded thought process on how you want to approach these rates. Second thing, do you know your limitations as a unit? You've built your alliance, you've got 24. Do you know the rosters? Do you know where your shortcomings are? What's your plan to address that, right? And I think that's another question you really, really want to ask yourself. Question three, are you providing value? Are you helping your group develop? Are you giving them a reason to stay? Are you adding that level of value that makes them committed, that makes them not obsessed, but like really entwined to what you're trying to do and the value and the goals that are coming there? So if they're helping grow, your chances of retention are going to go up a lot higher. And that's really where question three is coming from. Question number four, how do you handle accountability? I think we've all been in situations where there's always the bottom three of every alliance that is struggling to be relied on. They are not showing up for raids. They're late to join war. And it creates a level of frustration. So how are you dealing with that? Are you taking that right hand of Thor down, or are you coming up with a three-strike process? Are you addressing them individually? There's so many different ways to handle accountability. And we'll get into that some more when we talk about some of the other testimonies. And lastly, what kind of requirements are you going to set? What's the TCP requirement you're going to get into? What is there a specific tune list or a certain build that needs to be already present? I think all those come into factors as you're starting to build something out or looking to optimize, and how you wean and wane to get there. I think are very important. And I think as we go into it, there's a lot of different rules that we come up with within alliance leadership that are very important and rules to live by. In what I did in this video, and we'll get into some testimonials where we actually interviewed multiple people in the community that are leading an alliance, all from different types. I took some from the Plat 2 version, I've taken some from Plat 3, and even on a Diamond Alliance to get an idea, because everyone started somewhere, and everyone had to go through a lot of the same and similar challenges. So this will be a good way to understand like what they thought, and you can take kind of their testimonials and apply it to what you're doing for your alliance. But with that, let's go ahead and get into some of the major rules that you're going to want to follow as you're leading an alliance. So rule number one, I think, is very important. Create a culture. I can't stress this enough. The engagement of your alliance, like how they're using chat, using board, whatever those cases are, is very, very important. And I think one thing that was universal in all the testimonials is that creating a culture was probably the number one thing set out to do. And it starts simple. You can do little things just by asking open-ended questions in chat, asking about what people are working on building, start getting more personal, asking about music likes, things like that, just to get the actual community talking. And in a sense, you're creating a mindset, right? And I think that's super important. Rule number two, set your goals. You don't have to have major goals. You don't want to be in a gold alliance and say, hey, we want to get to diamond. Set realistic, smaller goals and celebrate the little wins. I think that's going to also help your alliance feel the enormity of that accomplishment every time you knock one of those down. So set small goals and celebrate those wins. Rule number three, have a development plan. Understand like what it's going to take for everyone in your alliance to grow, whether it's in raids, whether it's in war, whether if it's arena, cosmic crucible, just their overall roster. And what are you doing to get them that information to help? Because you're only one person, you can only do so much. So are you providing some level of library that they're going to be able to grow from? That's another thing in a testimonial that will also be addressed here shortly. Rule number four, and this is a very, very important one. ABR, always be recruiting. Recruiting is one of those things that never end in this game. Like if you're running a college sport program, you're always recruiting because you're always going to have things that are going to change. Either people are going to start falling out of love with the game, they're going to quit, they're going to leave unexpectedly. So many different things. So you want to have a constant pipeline going. And we one of the testimonials was with Chaotic Reaper from Elements of Chaos, a Plat 3 Alliance, and you have exactly 100 contacts you're allowed to have at one time. And would you know it, he uses all 100, constantly creating dialogue to be able to keep the alliance moving. So if somebody comes out, you keep on somebody moving in, all while you're trying to find the right like-minded people. Alliance. Number 5, check your expectations. You may want something, you may have your own goal, but that doesn't mean everyone and all 24 have the exact same way. You want to find the best catch point that adopts the 24 people that are in your alliance. And that may be a little bit less than what you expect, but it may be also realistic for what they can give you. I think that's very important. So if you want them on every single time at a certain point, good luck. It's going to be a challenge. IRL does happen. People have families, people have children, people have work, people travel. So sometimes you just got to understand and you got to pick and choose your battles. And lastly, rule number 6, your commitment level will be mirrored. Your alliance is going to work as hard as the leader presents themselves. An alliance leader is the most thankless job in Marvel Strike Force. You don't get a lot of credit for what actually goes on behind the scenes. They will never know unless they've done it themselves. So the best thing you can do is just show them that you're there for them, that you're willing to push hard, and you're leading the example, and you're showing how you want it to be done, so that you're trying to get them as close as possible to your level of commitment as possible. Because I'll tell you, if you don't care, they know it and they won't care. And good luck getting any kind of activity participate. So the 3 we did interview. We interviewed Tdatz, who is a very well-known Marvel Strike Force community member, and he leads a Plat 2 alliance called Thanos is Chosen. We interviewed Chaotic Reaper, who's a top 100 alliance called the Elements of Chaos, and they're in Plat 3. And then we interviewed EVDOG from Mutiny, who's one of the current #1 Diamond Alliances, Marvel Strike Force. And I thought those 3 perspectives were great because you're getting some from like kind of the Plat 2 where majority of the mid-game players are at, up to like starting end game in Plat 3, all the way up to Diamond, where you're at the top of the cream of the crop at the top, but also understanding they had to start somewhere. So let's talk a little bit about what they brought to the table. Let's start with Tdatz. So Tdatz, as part of Thanos is Chosen, here are the main things that he brought up. The first thing is his challenges were more creating a form of engagement and sticking to it. So going back to that culture, is making sure that you have your chat interacting, whether it's in game or you're on the Discord. I would say getting people in the Discord is probably the most positive way you can get engagement going, because there's so many tools you can use within Discord that help that engagement. Secondly is recruitment. I think he's finding that recruiting is getting tougher as of late. I think some people are getting burnt out from the game, and the rate that people are entering the game is a little bit lower, and it takes time for them to develop to be where you're at in a current alliance. So, he's doing little things like creating graphics that he's putting out in Discord and different areas of the community, as well as, creating a brand that people want to follow and come through. Third is accountability. One of the things that he said is like, IRL is first. Can't change that. And culture is important. And there is a balance between play style versus culture. And I think he highlighted that well. I think he wants to show people that we have goals, but we also understand that real life duties come first. We're not going to slight you for it. And one thing he really wanted to make important of as being very important is like making a Discord library, being an information source for growth, where like people have a place to go if they have questions. They want to know how to build something. They want to know what ISOs to set. They want to know what T4s to do. They want to know how to beat certain nodes. All that information's collected in a library within Discord, and that goes more towards that development plan we were talking about. All right, so let's go into Chaotic Reaper from Elements of Chaos. They're Plat 3, and his things were really interesting. He said from a challenges standpoint, he said one of the early challenges was letting people go for activity that had been around. He's developed a friendship in the game, but they haven't been living up to the standards that you guys may have collectively set. And going to those same people that you've developed a relationship with and letting them go was very difficult. And he seemed to have gotten over that. And as the team has grown, I think they've gone from top 200 to top 50 over the last 3 months. And, I think he's done a great job at building that culture and that like-minded mindset, for people doing what they want to do from a goal perspective. Secondly is consistency. And one of the things from consistency is, like, one thing he has to constantly remind himself is putting the alliance's needs over yourself. It's very easy to be selfish on what you want to do for your roster, but you have to sometimes check yourself and remember, I got to look out for the best interests of my alliance and their growth, because if we don't grow, I can't grow. And he did a great job highlighting that. And lastly, obviously, is accountability. The way he handles it is he openly communicates mistakes. He takes blame for it if it's an alliance problem. And then for participation issues on the individual basis, he's always addressing them. All right, and lastly is the one everyone wants to know about. That is EVDOG from Mutiny, and everyone knows Mutiny, where mobile gamers from, and one of the top alliances, and they dominate. And but I think it's important everyone understands is they started from somewhere, So how did they get from point A to point Z where they are today? But one of the challenges he mentioned, which is really interesting, is creating an alliance of 24 like-minded people. So going back to the earlier call out, whether you're looking to do raids or you're looking to do war, you're trying to find 24 people that have that same idea. And you're going to go through a lot of people to get to your end goal. So the answer is really just be patient. As long as you're finding those people, you start off with 12 that are there, 12 that are not. You rotate 12 out, and eventually you rotate 12 new ones in that have that same, and then you can start building from there. Secondly, was more community and morale. I think he's always trying to show his alliance where they're going, what the goals are, what they've accomplished, and always keeping the morale high. So people want to be there, they're engaged, they're happy to be there, they're happy to contribute. And lastly, is accountability, and the way he handles it is very similar to what Chaotic Reaper does, which most people do. You address privately, and you take the action when it becomes habitual. I think when you look at all three testimonials across three different types of alliances, one that's platinum, one that platinum 2, one platinum 3, and one that's diamond, they all have very similar concepts, and they've all seen their alliances grow. So if you're looking at the set forth in this journey and you think that some of these concepts and these rules are going to help you, let me know in the comments if you've seen similar challenges, or you want to talk through some of the things that maybe somebody in the community can also help with. But I do appreciate you guys watching the video. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Be kind to each other. Peace.